Hi, yes, hello, here we are, finally doing that YouTube video, but getting your OBS set up with a very small handful of plugins just to get you started and streamline a few things. We're going to dive right down, but first, coffee. And here we are. Okay, so we're looking into OBS right now. We're looking at a blank, unfiltered, unprocessed, nothing particularly exciting OBS. So the first thing we're going to cover over, the very important thing to cover over, is the creation of nested scenes. So what nested scenes are is they're a storehouse for your assets. So give me a second. So the first thing we want to do is create an empty scene and just call it nested scenes below, like this. A couple of tilde keys just help you identify it. The reason we do this is that way you can make sure all of the scenes you're actually going to use when you're live are on top, and all the ones that you have all of your resources in are down the bottom. Now, I didn't explain this terribly well the last time I tried to explain it, but effectively what a nested scene is it's where all of your original sources sit before any overlays, and then you do another scene with your overlays or with filters or with anything applied to it so that you can individually affect the overlay without having to affect all of your sources at once. So the best way I can show you an example is we're going to create 3 camera nested scenes. So we're going to have the camera nested scene, and we're going to have a live cam and a chat cam. So in this one, the first one here, camera nested scene, what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're just going to add one source. We're going to add our video captured device. So for a lot of you, that's going to be whatever your camera happens to be or anything along those lines. For me, it's going to be a virtual input because I'm using my camera in multiple places at once. So it's that one there. All right, and there we go. There's me on the screen. Big full screen. We're going to drag that out to full screen, or we're going to hit Control F, whatever your preference is. Control F is just a hotkey for full screen. What we're going to do then is we're going to come into this chat cam nested scene that we created before, and we're going to bring in as a scene your camera nested scene. So there we go. Now we've got it there. In our live camera one, we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to go scene capture, and we're going to just grab the camera nested scene. There we go. 2 big full screen cameras. Well, 3 if you count the nested scene. What we can do now, you can just go create yourself a gaming scene, for example. That's not how you spell scene, but it'll do. And then you can pull in the scene you just made with your new camera, and you can position that and do what you want with it. And that way you don't have to worry about your rotations or your transforms or anything changing. But the other move you can do is, once we put that in the right spot, is you can come into your live camera here, and then you can, on the actual scene here, you can add a mask if you want your camera to look a bit different, but don't want it to look different in your chat camera. So Nerd or Die have a lovely range of masks available. It is technically free. However, their recommended price is $2. If you've got $2, go for it. Why not? Otherwise, they are free. What you can do is you can download those, and then you can come in here, right click on your live camera thing, hit filters, and add an image, mask, or blend. So we hit browse, and hopefully that will bring us up the right folder. If not, go find where you downloaded it to. Then you want to pick whatever variation of your camera you want. So for example, when I'm live, I use a vertical web camera, which is going to be portrait. So then we're going to pick the type we want. So most cameras will be 16:9. 4:3 is your box shape. 16:9 is your wider shape. For an upright one, I'm going to go this one. And I kind of like it. It's kind of nice. Admittedly, I'm out of frame a little bit, but that's just because of camera positioning. If I move over here, I'm perfectly in frame. And that's applied now. What you can then do is you can grab your camera nested scene source, and you can shrink that down to fit however it needs to, or you can crop it down to fit, or you can zoom it out so you fit better. Like you can move this around within the way that mask is applied to this scene. So then when I go into my gaming scene, it's going to look like this. I can chuck it, wherever I want. I can drag it out till it meets half the screen and slide it over here, and hi guys, my head's sticking out of the wall. Or the main reason that we do this is because now if I go on this screen, it's still full screen. So if I want to have this scene as my chat scene, I can then just import the chat cam one. I don't want my chat cam to look exactly like this. If I want to add a filter, add its own mask to it, then we do exactly the same process. We go grab a new mask and we just find one. Personally for chat, I like to sit landscape. So, and then if I want, say this one, then, you know, it's done. It's applied. One thing I can recommend is think about the chain in which you want these things to happen. For example, if I want to have this and then have like a pretty animated border by stream elements, I'm going to need to feed that animated border in separately. So if we then go, we're going to create another one and we're going to call it cat. That's not the right one. Chat cam. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull that chat cam scene in. And then we're going to add a browser source and we're going to grab that animated border here, which is going to look something like this. I've taken the border aspect out of my animated border. We're just going to control F. So it's a straight thing, but then I can just move this up. And then there's that. But of course now I've got this big blocky border thing. So if you want to mask it, then we're going to go to the browser source itself, and then we're going to add the mask we want to add, and we can go from there, and we can make our scene look something a little bit more like that one. More like this, and then we can drag that out, and hey look, now we've got a cool little offset border, but it's also masked to the exact same shape. And then we go into our chat scene, and instead of this chat cam one here, we add our new one. There we go. That's my chat scene. You know, hi guys, how you doing? Welcome to Lana Gray at Twitch. But that's one really good use for nested scenes. Another really good use is to create yourself an audio nested scene, an alerts nested scene, so you can make sure everything's in exactly the same place whenever you want it, without having to feed that source into so many places. So as soon as you bring in those nested scenes into other scenes, it's applied to that scene, if that makes sense. So the next thing we're going to look at today is a couple of plugins around audio control. So there are two plugins that I really recommend. There's the WinCap Audio by Bozbez. All right, so the first thing you do is you go here, is you can Google it. You can just Google WinCap Audio OBS or whatever, or I'll have the links down below. And then you go to download, and then you just pick the one that's applicable, which in this case will be the beta setup exe. And you can straight up install it, restart your OBS. So what this does is it allows you to straight control and separate each individual application. So I'm just going to create an audio nested scene. So audio, and then it'll come up as when you add a source in OBS down here, it'll come up as application audio output capture. So when we set that up, so what we do is we're going to call this one music, and then we're just going to grab, when I find Spotify, there, Spotify, done. Now you can see it bouncing down here. You have individual control over it. You can mute it, you can not, but nothing else is going to get captured through there. There's probably one or two things open playing audio on my computer right now, other than my music, and that's not happening. If I pause my Spotify, come up here and just hit that pause button, it just turns off. Nothing else is coming through. You can't even hear my voice through it. How cool is that? So that's that there separated. That's really cool. The second thing I'm going to suggest on top of that is that you grab the Xaldro plugin called Audio Monitor. So what this does is allows you to add audio monitoring for your headphones as well as for your stream directly onto your audio source. So once you've downloaded it, you've done a refresh, like a restart of OBS, you come down here, you right click your music source, you go filters, you go audio monitor, click it on, and it works. So obviously we can't see it happening. Nothing's happening down the bottom yet. So if you go up here into view, you go docs, you go down here in this little thing until you get audio monitor. And we're going to place this one right here. There's a lot of things to talk about here. So we've got For starters, all of the audio sources that are built in. So as soon as you add a source to OBS, most of the time it's going to give you an audio source attached to it, even if it doesn't make sound. So what this does, and as you can see there, we've got this big bopping music thing going on here. So this one on the left here is your stream audio output. So as you dip this one, the one on the left moves, and this moves, which this track 2 here is your overall audio output across across your entire stream. You can choose which output that goes to. Is it track 1? Is it track 2? Blah, 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 blah. But that's what this one is. It controls the actual fader on the audio mixer. This one will control how much of it is going to your headphones, which unfortunately doesn't seem to have a live feedback. I'm not sure if that's something that can't be fixed, but it's definitely there. So you got to make sure you're monitoring your own OBS audio, but it will give you the ability to create a submix within your audio. The next one and the last one, because it's predominantly cosmetic, but for anyone who's come across from Streamlabs Desktop or anything similar, who really enjoyed being able to customize your sources to the length of full screen, this one's for you. So what we're now going to get is we're going to go a plugin called SourceDock. Now you can literally just Google it, or as I said, links will be down below. SourceDock does 1,000 wonderful things. So one of the cool things that SourceDock can actually do is SourceDock can show you a different scene. Hold on, I'm just going to stretch it out. A different scene while you're as a source doc. So I can have as a doc. So I can put this here. And look, we can see my my chat screen over on the side here without having to actually worry about it. But that's not what I'm here to show you. What the main reason that I use this is because I like these two little checkboxes here, which, as you can now see on the side here, has given me a full screen capability for my docs. So if I go into my docs and I grab Twitch chat, and it for some reason goes up there and in light mode OBS, why? Now I can have this full screen on the side. You know how useful that is? You know how much easier it is to see chat when it's not this big? But I do this with that, and then I have an activity feed down my other side. Let's see if I can grab that one for you. So you have the visualization, activity feed. There it is. So I have mine like this. So activity feed, stream chat, this, and then honestly, once you've got this one, you don't really need the audio mixer. So you can quite literally just turn it off. And there you go. So that's nested scenes, that's audio splitting and audio monitoring, and full screen sources. My name is Yaz, or Yazlana Gray, which I probably should have covered back at the start. I'm a variety streamer on Twitch. I'm live there 3 days a week. I spend a lot of time dedicated to helping other streamers with setting up OBSs and things like that. So if there's any point where you would like some help, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, please hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.